Welcome back to another episode of the Level Up Climbing Series. I'm Marcus, a not-so-great climber from Vancouver, Canada, who's hoping to get a little bit better through analysis and an increased motivation for climbing. So here we are today in Hive Surrey. It's been 2 or 3 weeks since I was last here, and there was a lot of the gym that was very new to me. Started off on this black 3 hex, which looked pretty simple. But here I was really struggling to get this foot match. If you've been watching my last episode, there was when I was at Boulder House, there was a problem that I was also having trouble with foot matching or foot swapping, and this became evident even on this 3 hex. So on this next attempt, I decided to try and completely skip the foot swap. So I go right foot first, that way I don't have to do the swap, and the rest is pretty straightforward. A little bit of commitment here, but we get the send. And I don't know why there's no down climbs here, so a down climb holds, so that's something I wish the Cyrus did. But yeah, I end up trying to practice this foot swap again. As I said last episode, I realized that that's something I'm pretty bad at, and I don't think this should be that difficult to do. The foothold is decently big, and it's far off from the wall, so I thought this should be pretty easy. So I wanted to give this a couple tries, just seeing if I can do it with the foot swap way. And I'm just having a lot of trouble with it. Once I hit the foot, my heel just fully comes down, and I can't hold it. And on this attempt, as I try and pull out the left foot, it doesn't come out, and both feet come off the holds. So I think that's still something in the future that I need to work on, and I'll be trying to practice a little bit more throughout my climbing. I think just being aware of what my weaknesses are is always very helpful. This orange 3 hex was also a 3 hex that I thought was kind of tricky. That toe hook was very hard to get out of. So I completely skipped the toe hook here, and it made the climb significantly easier. Maybe that, again, is something that I need to work on, but for me, I was like, that toe hook, I think, was just a bait. And so we moved on. This pink 3 hex, this is actually my second time attempting this, I think. The first one, I accidentally didn't get video of, but I had fallen somewhere towards the start. It was definitely a little harder than I expected. Even here, you see the right foot completely slip, and I thought it was gonna fall. Luckily, I managed to hold it, and it was a send. This blue 3 hex I thought was super sick. So it starts off with this dyno where you push your feet against the wall. I think the correction I made here was I have to go with both hands. And from there it felt pretty good. And just that next reach is so far. So I just wanted to break that down for a second. I saw a lot of people coming up into this and grabbing the hold with their right hand with their thumb underneath and being able to hold the left hand. But for me, that wasn't possible. And I noticed myself trying to place my hand on top of the volume with my left. So I had an idea that I can probably treat the right hand almost like in that gaston position and press against the volume with my left. And on that attempt, I didn't get high enough, but I felt like that was definitely something I could stick. And I thought it was such a cool movement to try and do. So here we get the dyno was feeling super easy at the beginning. And right here, I managed to take the press and managed to find the toe hook there to get the match as well. And so I thought that blue 3 hex was super cool. I really enjoyed the movement on it. And yeah, just overall, I thought all the 3 hexes during my warm-up were pretty difficult and definitely had me trying right from the start. But yeah, now it's time to hop on to some 4 hexes. This blue 4 hex here, I'm having a lot of trouble reaching the higher left hold. And what I realized is I probably needed to get my left foot up. But right now I'm kind of in an awkward position. It's a little tough to do that. So I try and see if I can use that right hand to really pull myself up, but eventually call it quits. So on this next attempt, my main initial focus is to get that left foot up here. And from there, it's significantly easier. Again, I just twist the hips, and now that I can grab that left hold a lot better, it is, yeah, just significantly easier. I will say this move here felt a little hard, and I had to just make sure I committed to that. As well as there wasn't really any indentation or anything on that hold, so it was a little worse than I thought, but overall it was, I'd say, pretty solid, and I was happy to get that. This yellow 4 hex is right in this corner that I usually really like. Kind of lots of pressing and trying to fit within the box. But I thought that this climb was insanely difficult. The volume is quite slippery, and the high right foot is just so high. Look at that, that's like right where my hip is. I don't really know how I was supposed to get that. I'm still so far off. I think the beta there is, yeah, to get the right foot up to where that foothold is, and then to match towards the top. But wow, it was, when I say it was terrifying, that's like an understatement. This is one of the few times where I was genuinely just scared. I don't know how to describe it, but it was just scary to try and do. On that last attempt there, I was trying to see if I can get my foot onto the yellow part instead of onto the volume. And on this last attempt, I was curious if this idea would work, where I try and face outside, face away from the wall, but that made no sense either, so I decided to just move on. We moved to this yellow 4 hex, which, if you've been following the last couple episodes, I have been working on, and I was struggling with the move going to the penultimate hold. So I have both hands on the bar, and I'm struggling here. I saw a guy right before this with a very similar build to me make this look so easy. And what he said is he had his left foot on the bigger crescent. He had heel hooked it. I watched him do it. And he said it made flipping the left hand a whole lot easier so that he can move to the right. And I tried that, but it didn't really make any sense to have a heel hook. It just pulls me further left, whereas I feel like I want to be as far right as possible. I want to get my body just over these holds so that I can flip the left hand. So there I tried to do it a little more dynamically. I'm still trying to figure out what works best for me. But I was so frustrated. I couldn't believe that other guy made it look so easy. And this was being taken down at the end of the week. So this was basically my last chance. Yeah, here I flip with the heel, but it just doesn't feel right. So, yeah, they were taking it down in a few days. So unless I wanted to go in 2 days, this was going to be my last session that I could get this. So here I flip the left hand. You can't really see it, unfortunately. And I do get my hands on it, but the heel slips, and at this point I'm pretty gassed from it. So unfortunately I don't get that send. But in my head I told myself that I might try and come back in a couple days, just before it's taken down, to give it another try. So we'll see how that goes. This purple 4 hex I tried quite a few sessions before too. Going to those jugs, I've just never been able to hold it. I think the tension is very difficult. This green 4 hex, I'm pretty sure this is the intended beta, but it made no sense to me going left first. So I decided to try and go right instead. And it's definitely a little far, but I know it's doable. It takes me a few attempts there, but eventually I get it. And you'll notice that the hand that the hold that I originally went to, I just don't use at all. Which is why I think the other way was the intended beta, but it just seems so difficult. But yeah, I think lots of people were struggling with this move, and I think this next move is pretty far. Sorry about the camera, kind of missing it there. But yeah, to repeat, I go right hand, I completely skip that other hold, and that right hand hold is much slopier and not as great as it looks. They definitely screwed it on upside down, so it's quite slopey and quite hard to get to. Luckily, I do manage to hit it, I'd say relatively consistently. And again, that next hold is just very hard to hit. Hopefully on one of the next shots you can see it a little bit better, but the lower part is completely blocked. So I'm trying to go just into like the middle there. And then there's also like a higher sort of crimp above it. It's more like an upside down foothold though. So here I managed to go a little bit more statically, really taking my time instead of going super dynamically. And I move my left hand towards the upside down foothold, and I have no idea how I'm supposed to go all the way to the finish there. I tried to even just go to that down climb gray hold, and it made no sense. So decided to move on. This green 4 hex, I was really happy to stick that first move first try. It was funny because when I looked at this, I thought, oh, I flashed that for sure. And my friends were like, really? Like, I think it's a lot harder than you think it is. And I started second guessing myself as to the difficulty of that first move. But yeah, I think just for me, it really fit my style. And I was really happy to get the flash on that. Finally, to end off the session, I hopped onto the slab wall. I feel like slab's something that I've been neglecting for a little while, but something I definitely want to get better at. I think slab is always very technical, and I have a lot of friends who are like really good at slab and not so great at, or not as good on the other walls. Whereas for me, I think I'm the opposite. So I think trying to focus on slab is going to be something that I'll be doing a little bit more in the future. So I started off on this relatively easy pink 3 hex. Again, not too bad on the fingers and just focusing on the footwork. And then I hopped onto this orange 5 hex because it looked like I could get a decent distance, or get along a decent amount of the route. And a lot of the other 4s looked pretty difficult. And also my friend was just working on this, so I wanted to work on it with her. And I was pretty happy with how the beginning went. It felt pretty smooth, pretty easy. And then I got to this section and I was like, this makes no sense. That next hold is so far, it's pretty slopey, and I couldn't figure out if I was supposed to go left hand, right hand, what in the world I was supposed to do. So I climb up and just try just this section. And yeah, I feel like I'm supposed to be able to let go of my right hand and just balance in that position. But especially with the bumblebee climbs right by my chest, it feels impossible to stay close to the wall without pressing right against them. Which, I don't know, is that allowed? Or does that count as dabbing? I would assume it counts as dabbing. But yeah, I'm really unsure of what exactly the move is here. Again, I'm still just trying to figure out if I can do this kind of dynamically, and I feel like that probably is the play. You have to come down here and just kind of launch yourself, but it's so scary.